Good afternoon. I pray that your weekend was filled with spaces and places of joy, of peace, of happiness, that you were able to enjoy at least some part of it. I think Saturday here was good weather, but yesterday, not so good. And when I woke up, my house was cold because I had turned the heat off and it was 57 degrees in my house. Ooh. So I pray that you still had a good weekend. Today, I want to talk about grief. And I'm sort of making an announcement as I'm making this talk. So I've been thinking about how difficult this past year has been for most of us. Most of us, no matter where we find ourselves in life, have sustained some sort of loss, whether it's loss of job, loss of relationship, loss of family or friends, or even loss of people we didn't particularly care for, loss of freedom, loss of all types of things. We've experienced lots of losses. And even without a pandemic, we as people tend not to do well with grieving. We tend not to do well with dealing with loss. We try to just hurry up and get through it and act like it never happens and pack it away someplace and keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving. We don't like to feel. And in one sense you can do that if you want to, but there's a cost to that because as the longer we live, we will have more losses. And if we have not learned how to properly grieve, every time a new loss occurs, it re-triggers the losses we had not dealt with. So what I want to announce is what I'm thinking about is I want to offer an online grief support group. And I'm thinking that it will be open ended. I'm thinking people can come and go as they please. It will be on a Zoom platform so people can actually talk to each other if they choose to do that. And I'm thinking that we will meet on Saturdays somewhere around 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And I chose Saturdays because typically when you're grieving, you can get yourself real busy and avoid those feelings by being at work or being at school. But the weekends sometimes are the hardest to get through because you don't have any distractions. And so when I'm thinking of a grief support group, I'm not necessarily thinking about teaching people what to do as they grieve because I don't know that that can be taught. Grief is a natural process we all have to go through. It's a part of the cycle of life. What I am thinking about is creating a space where people can come together and be together to be able to yell if they want to be able to cry if they want to be able to talk if they want to be able to question if they want to be able to be shocked. All the things that we as a society sort of don't allow people to do. Think about it. Let's talk about a death. If someone dies, we gather around, we bring food, we provide a lot of support until right after the funeral. And after the funeral, everybody goes away back to their regular life, but the person who's grieving is still left feeling empty, still trying to figure out how do I manage my life now that so and so is no longer here. And well-meaning friends don't provide that space because they're afraid you're going to cry or they don't know what to do with their grief themselves. So this grief support group will be a place where we can just be. And I know that with this past year, people have experienced so much profound grief. I just mentioned funerals. I know for me, I've lost people who were near and dear to me, but I was not able to participate in the ritual that we call a funeral service because of COVID. You're not able to say goodbye. When I retired doing COVID. The last time I actually went to work on my full-time job was the second week in March. And that was the last time I went. I had not planned on that being my last time. I had planned on I was going to retire about 6 weeks later, and there was plans for a party, there was plans for celebration, but none of that happened. And while I'm really happy to be retired and I rejoice and the ability to be retired, there's a part of me that still grieves the fact that I never got to say my last goodbyes to clients who I've worked with colleagues I have worked with relationships that have been formed over the 7 years that I worked there. So again, I would like for you, if you choose to write in the comments, would you be interested? Or do you think having a grief support group would be a good idea? Let me know your comments. Let me know your thoughts. I'm not sure when it will start, but I just want to share what's on my heart. Love you all, and I pray that you have a wonderful rest of your Monday. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.